the active shooter looks like, how many of them there are, the kind of weapons they have, and where they are at in the building. So when we arrive, we have that information. We can quickly move to the area we need to move. We have your floor plans in the city, so we know how the building is designed, so we can get through it, all right? And your building is like a labyrinth anyway. So you go into that one room where there's 700 cubicles. Wow. So we know what it looks like. We know how to, we have the floor plans. We can move very quickly through the building. Understand those officers will not stop and help shot or injured people. That's not what they're going to do. That first team coming in the door is going to move as quickly as they can to find the shooter and stop him. They will be notifying the crews coming in behind them of injured or hurt people. Those second set of officers coming in the door will provide assistance and medical aid. That first crew has got to stop the shooter. So they're going to be moving as quickly as they can to stop him and intervene him by whatever means necessary. And they're going to put him down, get him under control, so he's not shooting and hurting more people. So that's how that's going to happen, okay? So move quickly, hands open, listen to what we tell you to do. Don't talk to us other than what we ask you to do. And then if you call in dispatch, please give them as much information as you possibly can so we know what we're getting ourselves into, all right? That's how we are going to respond. These are the 6 outs. If you hear gunshots, is that normal for this environment? No. You immediately need to go, uh-oh, this is bad. And you need to figure it out quickly. You hear those gunshots, I need to enact my plan. Figure it out, get out. Have those 2 escape routes, get out of this building as quickly as you can, and go to your mobilization area. We will probably hold on to you once you get there. We will not let you just drive off and go home. Because we need to debrief you. We need to find out if you're actually involved, because many times active shooters have tried to escape with the escaping crowd of people. We need to make sure you're not one of them or involved. So we will hold you. Do not be upset about that. But get out of here. Once you're out, call out. Give us the information I requested from you. Number of shooters, what they look like, how they're dressed, the weapons that they possibly have on them, big guns, little guns. What are they? I know you may not know. Well, it's an AR-15. Okay, you may not know that. Is it a long gun? Is it a short gun? Is it an automatic pistol? How many weapons do they have? Do they look like they have explosives on them? Have they already used explosives? We need to know that kind of stuff coming in the door. So call out to us as quickly as you can. Stay on the line with the dispatcher until she tells you to hang up. Don't hang up on her. All right? If you cannot get out, hide out. Figure out where that place is now. Don't be looking for a place to hide while it's going on. I know where I'm going, just like a tornado shelter. Once you're hidden out, turn your cell phone down to silent, and anything else that's going to make a noise needs to be silenced. All right? Once you're in that room, keep them out. Barricade the door. Do whatever you can to keep them out of there. At the end of the day, if they get in, you've got to take them out. You figure out what you are going to use as a weapon, and every environment affords you lots of weapons. There are tons of tools you have available to you to fight with. Use them. Ink pens, umbrellas, cigarettes, a hairbrush. You can turn almost anything in this environment into a weapon. A chair is a great weapon. Lots of good tools. Think about how you can use them. Every environment affords you these. I call it cheating. Okay? One of my students that I trained many years ago moved to Chicago. One day she was walking through a parking garage in Chicago. She senses somebody behind her. She goes, oh man, I could just feel it was bad. And I had no tools with me. So as she walked past a car, she broke off an antenna. And when he grabbed her from behind, she turned and stuffed it into his eye. Took off running. That is an environmental weapon used successfully. She never heard from him again, and to my knowledge, he didn't call the Chicago Police Department either. He was just one-eye Jack from that point on. And I don't think he tried that trick a second time. Another one of my students realized he was going to get jumped at a restaurant/nightclub. He was with his girlfriend. For whatever reason, these gentlemen decided to key in on him. He knew that you choose the combat environment. Don't let them choose the place for the fight. You choose it. And choose an environment that's best for you. So he said, I knew this was going to happen, so he said, I went to the bathroom knowing they would follow me. He said, just as soon as I got into the bathroom, I ripped the liquid soap dispenser off of the wall and covered the floor with liquid soap. So the second they walked in, they slipped onto the ground, and he was on top of them. That's cheating. Use the environment, get whatever it affords you, use it as a tool to fight with. Okay? In real life, there are no fair fights, there are no referees, and there are no rules. The rule is win. Physical survival first, then you move on to the next step, which is your legal survival and all that other stuff. You got to win the fight. Know that when you are fighting for your life, you're defending yourself. It has to be self-defense and not self-offense. Is what you're doing reasonable based on the totality of circumstances? Would a reasonable person look at what you just did and said, yeah, I'd have done that too? That's reasonable. Okay? Make sure it is reasonable at what you do. These are some of the defensive tactics techniques I want you to keep in mind. Keep a wide gaze. See the person from here to here. Don't focus in on any one part of their body. But if you are going to spend more time looking at any part of their body, what part should you look at? Their hands. That's where weapons are going to be, and that's most likely what they're going to hit you with. All right? So pay attention to those, but look at the whole person. S4V stands for this principle. Strike first, strike fast, strike hard, and strike repeatedly to a vulnerable target. First, fast, hard, and repeatedly. In real life, the first person to land the first blow wins. You're going to hit him as hard as you can, you're going to hit him as many times as you can, and you're going to hit a vulnerable target. By hard, I mean crank it up and put it to him. Everything you got. And when I'm hitting a target, can I borrow you, John? I don't think he wants to do this. If my target, and let's talk about targets, okay? These are the targets I want you to focus on. Eyes, throat, neck, groin. That's it. I don't want you hitting anybody here, all right? I won't hit you there. This area here is covered by fat, muscle, bone, and a lot of tissue. Unless you are very strong, you're not going to cause a dysfunction, okay? So I don't want you worried about anything here. You're going to go for the throat, right in here in where this jugular notch is, okay? There's a hyoid bone back there. You hit that hard enough, it causes a major dysfunction for them. What we want are high percentage targets, targets that we know when we do it, it's going to cause them to go down, because we only have a few seconds to make this happen. Eyes are great targets. You know, a palm strike, a thumb into the eye, raking the eyes, any of that. Just imagine, you've all had an eyelash get into your eyes, right? Or a contact rip. How devastating is that? Oh my God, be back, right? Imagine somebody's finger in your eye, all right? That's going to stop the fight. If they can't see, they can't fight. If they can't breathe, they can't fight. Those are your two best targets. Throat and eyes. Throat crushes at about the pressure. If you take an average coffee cup or toilet paper tube or something like that and just crush it, that's about what it takes to cause a dysfunction. We're going to hit it much harder than that. We're going to crank it up and hit them. And this is not my target. This is my target. I want to drive my hand, fist, or elbow through his throat. Okay? I'm not going to stop here. My target's the backside of his head. Now, can I really do that? No. But I want to get that mental picture because I want fluid shockwave transfer. The energy I create, I want driving through him, not stopping on the surface. I want all that energy going into the body. So the throat, eyes, and groin are great shots. Okay? Those are the easiest shots. If you can take a knee out, it's also a good shot because if they can't stand, they can't fight most of the time. Those are your 4 great target areas, all right? The techniques you can use to hit those are a hammer strike. Never punch anybody like this with your hand, like a boxer. Unless your hands are conditioned, you are going to break your hand. Okay? I fought professionally for about 20 years. And every time I fought, even though my hands were wrapped by a professional, I was wearing 8-ounce gloves, I still cracked a bone in my hand almost every time. The hands are weak and fragile. The head, which is usually the target, breaks at about 13 pounds of pressure per square inch. The hand breaks at about 6 or 8. Doesn't take a math genius to figure that out. This is a painful injury. Hammer strike is a great strike. This is the handle of the hammer. This is the head. You're hitting them this way. Okay? It's a good, powerful tool. Elbow strikes are great strikes. Palm strikes are good strikes. All right? Knee strikes are great strikes. Now, I know I don't have time to teach you a DT class, but think in those terms. Whenever you hit them with every ounce of power you have. Drive through them and then get out of there and escape. That's the goal of what you're trying to do today. The other thing is, we talked about cheating. I want you to war cry. You ever watch those war movies where they're charging each other? What are they doing? They're screaming, right? I want you to yell as you're attacking them. It has several purposes. It scares them, gives you energy, tightens your stomach, so if you get hit, you're not sucking air, all right? The other thing it does is it makes them think you're just a little crazy. And even bad guys don't want to deal with crazy people, right? Sorry. So scream as loud as you can, and I mean roar from the stomach, not from the throat. Loud. And then never second guess yourself. If you've decided you're going to fight, fight. If you're going to run, run, but don't second guess yourself, okay, ever. Let's go back. I want to show you a technique. He's going to bring it up for me. This is called, if you want to look at this on YouTube, it's called pimp knockout. The technique I'm showing you is called a brachial stun. The brachials are on the side of the neck. They're large areas on the side of the neck. So the areas I'm asking you to hit are not specific. They're very large. I don't want you to try to hone in on one small pressure point. That's ridiculous. Big target areas. What you're going to see happen here is the prostitute up here and this gentleman here are fighting. This guy comes out of his karate studio and tells him, take this action somewhere else and stop hitting her. The pimp decides he's going to jump bad with this martial artist police officer. As he enters into the policeman's reactionary gap, like he and I did, the officer drops his center of gravity, takes his defensive stance, and he hits this guy with a brachial stun. I'm going to have you watch the video, then I'll show you how to do it. Good, John. So there you go. That's called a brachial stun. He's a former student of mine, so I can beat him up. The brachials run along the sides of the neck, right here. Okay? It's this very large area, so you don't have to try to hit a specific target zone. And if you'll notice, the technique he used was a backhand. Literally what he did was smack him this way, but he hit him right here. You can hit with the back of the hand, the back of the arm, the forward of the hand, the forward of the arm. You could hit with an edge hand, you could hit with a hammer fist. Doesn't matter. What it causes is a surge of blood and nerves to the brain, which causes that response. He was out long enough for you to escape. And that's how easy it is to do. When I teach officers or I teach corrections people, thank you, Marlon. When I teach correction people, anybody that works in a prison has to go through self-defense training. Whether they're the cook, the guard, the psychologist, doesn't matter. Because they're all in this closed environment and they've got to be able to fight, to defend themselves. So when I teach like the staff that makes the meals, the cook staff, you know, usually I'm dealing with women who are older, who are short, small. I actually had a 76-year-old cook accidentally knock out one of the guards with a brachial stun. So it will work for anybody, okay? And it's very simple to do. Whenever you're thinking about defensive tactics, if anybody shows you a skill, it's got to be easy, it's got to be one step, and it's got to be simple. If it's multi-step, it's going to fall apart under stress, okay? And if it requires the bad guy to do anything a certain way, it will not work. Because the worst attacker you're going to have is the untrained attacker. He will not do it the way you expect. You're not attacking me right, right? So it's got to be simple, got to be one step, got to be easy, got to require almost no thinking. That technique does that. At the end of the day, sometimes bad stuff happens to good people. Our goal today was to give you skills so that you can mitigate that as much as you possibly could. If you do the 5 or 6 things I shared with you, which are fairly simple to do, you put yourself in the less than 1% of people who will be attacked. And if you are, you now have at least the knowledge how to survive and overcome. And like this thing says here, it ain't the size of the dog in the fight that matters. It's the size of fighting the dog. You got to have the big dog fight inside you because the goal is for you to win. Thank you very much.